Garrosh versus Malfurion.
So it is going to be the warrior coming out here. And now you have a pretty solid idea of what kind of a druid he's playing. So, you make your decision based on that. Not wanting to play the hunter against that. So why the warrior instead of the hunter? You're just feeling too many taunts in this deck kind of thing for the hunter, or what are you feeling?
Well, I think hunter is an okay matchup versus this, but I think warrior at the end of the day is just a better matchup against it. And sort of with the way that ramp druid plays, Warriors has really strong answers at every stage of the game. You're gonna be able to slam execute big minions. You can copy their big minions. You have big game hunter for potentially anything huge that's been Mark of the Wild. And fiery war axe can get a lot of work done here in combination with some of your minions. You place a lot of pressure. Just sort of the whole deck's working together really well, and especially it's working together well against what ramp druid's trying to do.
For sure. I mean, Gorehowl, even there's a lot of cards looking at your deck list here that can get huge value if you can get them out. I mean, even the Ragnaros and stuff, it can be pretty tough to deal with. But double faceless, I guess, is pretty scary for some of that stuff as well. When you do play with powerful minions. But anyway, we do see that coin coming up for Trump. He doesn't have the Wild Growth or the Innervate though to start things off. So. Now here, I mean, I'm assuming you're trying to play it, and that is going to be the obvious play. Now, the silence, I'm guessing, is what he's going to do, and we've seen just how heavily players prioritize denying the card draws against a lot of these decks. Even sometimes pulling 2 cards to stop those card draws and everything. So that's something that's really kind of interesting and educational for me. Is just how important it is to stop those card draws, because this is something I admittedly wouldn't be doing a lot of the time. Is I'd be like, oh well, I'll just kill it off. I'll save that for later, kind of thing. I save off myself for something else. But I guess it's really just undervaluing the importance of denying those card draws.
Right. If he ends up letting this live, it's a huge problem in terms of what the cards I end up getting access to. Because again, what he's hoping is that I eventually just run out of gas. But if I don't run out of gas, things end up looking really bad for him. So, I'm sorry, if I do run out of gas, things end up looking really good for him. But if I don't, it's really hard to stop a deck like this. Wow, Black Knight off the top of the deck. I don't actually remember that happening for some reason. Maybe it was such a traumatic experience to have done this.
You were just in the fetal position crying, so you couldn't remember it after. Man, that is like one of the best cards ever to Black Knight. It's so rough. The cleave here is pretty nice. I mean, there's some ways you go about this. It is going to bring you 2 HP, cleave plus the slam. And then you can kill Taskmaster here as well. So nicely cleaned up there. You do have the double shield blocking him as well. That could be a lot of card draws plus a lot of armor just hustling up later.
I think my response here is why I didn't remember it, because that was actually really good. Board
yeah, it worked out very well. And I mean, now you're setting up some nice stuff. I mean, you could go for the Taskmaster to remove the shield and then do the shield slam there, which I think seems like a pretty nice play. Looks like that is going to be your play. So I mean, if you do the math, that means I'm as good as you, right?
It looks like that's what I ended up agreeing with. Again, for some reason, this match not coming back to me. I can see why I'm doing every single thing, but when I put the Taskmaster
who is
in my
this
hand,
guy?
I was
He's so
like,
good.
certainly I didn't put this Taskmaster bat in my hand. And
That's funny.
it's important to have these 2/2s out, but at the same time, I think one of the things that might have run through my mind actually is Starfall. That's the only reason I can even think of why I would have considered not playing it. I'm glad that I ended up doing it. That would have been a really bad mistake to make. I'm glad we're minimizing the amount of time
that would have sucked. But Harrison Jones is going to be dropped right away. So,
unfortunately, nothing belongs in the games this turn.
Yeah, of course. But okay, so in that situation, are you just saying, okay, there's never going to be a better time to drop this ultra drop, but now,
right.
Why that instead of shield blocking and just seeing what you can draw?
I think the 5/4 on the board is a little bit more of a big threat. I'm also actually, something to note, I do remember this, that he played the swipe from the left side of his hand, and at one point I had the 1/3 Acolyte and the 4/1 Core Currently, and he just did not swipe that, and that was actually really surprising to me. So, sort of surprised that he was actually able even to have that.
That is a very aggressive play.
Yeah, that's another reason why I ended up playing that 5/4 is because part of it is I just wanted to have added pressure once this Alex Strauss had hit the board.
Oh my god, he could do Cenarius Faceless Manipulator with the double innervate.
Yeah, this is looking like
that's a pretty fearsome play, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he could even Cenarius buff, and I mean, will that be stronger? I mean, it'd be a 6/7 versus a 5/8, so I guess it's up for debate. But interesting. I mean, I imagine he'll go do double treants. plus Innervate, plus that. Or there's a lot of different moves. I mean, you could do that, or you could do the Yeti plus the Starfall and kill off the Alexstrasza.
Yeah, I actually like copying the Alexstrasza here and then playing Starfall.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of different moves. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, this is kind of interesting. I actually like that play better, right? Because he could have done. I mean, I guess he's just going to copy it after. He's going to copy it after, but then.
Do you think he's curious about whether or not? Oh, he's using Starfall after.
Okay. So do you literally not remember?
I mean, I remember like things happening like as they're panning out, but
that's an interesting play. Yeah, I would have thought he would have wanted to use the Faceless Manipulator.
Oh, okay, now I remember. That's why I didn't remember this. I was like, I don't remember having to actually use Gorehowl.
Oh man, the Whirlwind here is so nice with the Azure Drake. That's so good. I mean, the plus damage. Oh, plus that's beauty. So I mean, you get so much extra damage. Now, why did you trade that out instead of the Whirlwind when you could have? Why did you do that first? Because it would have killed it off anyway?
Yeah, it gives me, I think...
Isn't it the same thing? I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Okay. Interesting. And now, I mean...
Oh my gosh, that is a huge draw.
Yeah. But it's interesting. It's really interesting that he didn't face the Manipulator, because now he doesn't really have a good target for it. I mean, he could theoretically do it next turn on the Ancient of War or something. Or he could obviously do it this turn as well.
I imagine
he could do trade it, heal it, and then face the Manipulator. I guess he could go for something like that.
I'm curious if there's an argument for healing touching your scenario.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like you trade, and then you could healing touch, and then face the Manipulator it. That seems like a pretty decent move as well.
He's got to be content with this.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it is maybe a bit greedy to healing touch that up.
Oh jeez. Top decking and wrecking.
Yeah, man.
I guess what's fair is fair. You know, he drew one, I draw one, so.
This is like, you guys are playing it so fast. Now, he does have a double face Manipulator, but once again, I really feel like that turn earlier is coming back to haunt him big time, because he had a good chance to get a very powerful minion. He could have even, he could have done your Alexstrasza, or he could have done his own Cenarius, when it was still at full HP. And now it's like, what do you even do? I mean, you can face his Manipulator. You can face the Manipulator of the Black Knight twice or something, and then trade that. But he's not even going to decide to do that. So now it's like,
I actually really like not playing Faceless Manipulator here. Again, there's no really good targets for it, and he doesn't necessarily feel pressured. Oh, jeez. And this is the turn I remember very specifically.
Now he double Faceless Manipulator.
Yeah, because I drew this.
Oh, and Sylvanas.
I drew this Grommash, and I was really excited about it.
Yeah.
But then I remember passing the turn and thinking, wait a minute, I've already seen two Faceless Manipulators. And he didn't play anything last turn with infinite mana.
Yeah.
This could be turning out poorly.
Yeah, that's pretty scary.
Yeah, so...
but at the same time, I mean, when you look at your life totals, and how does he really deal with that? Because if he attacks into it, I mean, he can attack into that, he can rage his own, and then you can't trade, but...
No, he can trade because it
oh my god, yeah, he can face the Manipulator, the already enraged one. So, I didn't realize it kept the enraged attack.
So this ends up being disastrous.
Oh, wow. That is so bad. Oh my god. Yeah, that was a pretty terrible turn.
Well, not much question about this one. We're gonna roll the rat die.
Yeah.
See what happens.
You want to get the 10-8, it does. That's very nice. Now, I mean, he's probably gonna. He has the Sylvanas, so he could just get the Sylvanas down. But the card draw is pretty tempting here as well, because his life total is quite low, and yours is mighty high. And I mean, at the same time, does he really want to trade this? I mean, he could trade for the Ragnaros. But it's kind of tempting to try to get the Sylvanas out, just go face, and then pray that the Sylvanas gets killed by the Rag. I mean, is that too greedy? I don't know.
Well, I think it's a bit greedy because if I have another minion to go alongside with it, not only are you anticipating this Ragnaros hitting the Sylvanas, but also then winning a 50-50. I think it's a bit risky.
I mean, either way, though, it could kill the Rag could kill the Grommash regardless, right? And so you're getting 10 base damage in. And I mean, at some point, he has to start considering that he needs to attack your life total. I mean, you're at like, so your HP is so high, you're at 44 HP.
Well, another thing he can think about is that a lot of my threats have just been used at this point. Like, I no longer have a Grommash in the deck. This is the Ragnaros that's gone. Black Knight is no longer in the deck. Faceless Manipulator is no longer in the deck. Alexstrasza's dead. I'm running out of ways to actually kill him. So I think that plays a lot into his decision here. To cast this Nourish is he wants to get a little bit more information before he decides if he should attack this Ragnaros.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. You can obviously just go with that as well. So some nice card draws. And I mean, the Nourish is definitely a very good play. The Sylvanas would be too greedy, I think, for sure. when you think about it more.
Yeah.
Cat form is very understandable here because really he does need to start doing some damage.
He does have to start getting some damage in, but his consideration on the taunt is literally, again, sort of the same effect. Does he need damage, or the fact that I've run out of so many threats, can he leverage that to win the game?
Well, with the Gorehowl coming out, it was obviously the better play because it's the difference of doing 4 damage versus 8 damage. And now this is pretty big. Being able to get out of 5-10, you can obviously just kill it off with that Gorehowl, which is not the best situation here. And I mean, I almost feel like you're forced into the card draw, and you are. Now, at this point, have you used both of your defense?
I believe I've used one.
Yeah, I thought you had only used one because a draw right there would obviously be huge. But you can obviously attack into that. That sets it up for death if it attacks the Zerdrake, or to trade that out next turn. It just seems like you do not have a lot of options there. You have to.
Yeah, attacking there I think is pretty critical because if he attacks my Azure Drake back directly from this position, he's going to die. And it also, again, I have enough life that I'm very comfortable paying life total at this point to try to put something together that can put me in a winning position again. So
now, do you mark this and attack into that, or mark this and attack the face to keep it above? I mean, either seems like a pretty good move. Marking and attacking the face means you have to do the Drake plus the Gorehowl. You do have a Whirlwind, I believe, in your hands. So you could do the Whirlwind plus the Gorehowl to kill it off, even if he marks it. But I mean, you could do mark that, swipe the Drake.
Yeah, I like swiping a lot.
I think that marking plus swiping the Drake seems pretty nice. Just moving it above that HP, especially if you swipe the Drake, because then the Drake's there's not that extra damage really to be able to remove it very well. It means you're having to attack it again with your Gorehowl. Or do you think that it's I'm not sure if it makes more sense to do that, or to mark something else, like mark the Sylvanas.
Yeah, something else he's considering as well is, since this Gorehowl is now at 5 points, can he sacrifice this Ancient of War for 5 more points of damage and have a 4/6 developed that ends up putting a lot of pressure on me as well?
Yeah.
Naturally, he has to kill his Zerdrake.
Yeah, for sure.
In some fashion.
So he's going to mark that. Now, what do you think about the use of Mark of the Wild there versus saving the Mark of the Wild for the Sylvanas Windrunner? Forcing you to attack into that and deal with that death rattle?
Yeah, I think it's fine kind of either way. But he doesn't want to play the Sylvanas until I develop another better on my board. So again, what he's thinking about is how many threats I've played and how he can diffuse that sort of situation. So saving onto this Sylvanas, I think, ends up being superior because in a position like this, it again continues to be increasingly difficult for me to be able to put pressure on the remaining points of his life because I'm so low on actual things that matter at this point.
Yeah, for sure. So an interesting play to be sure. I mean, now at this point, I mean, with his life totals at 15, you have 4 damage, I believe, from the Gorehowl left, 7 from the Geddon. So you're already looking at 11 damage. That means he only has 4 left, 5 if he armors up. What else is left in your deck here? Do you still have the charge? The charge means you still have the Corcoran Elite. I believe you still do. So I mean, there's a potential for lethal here if he doesn't armor up.
Yeah, he's got to deal something in this position.
Yeah. I mean,
I actually don't mind seeing a heal for 5 here. I don't mind seeing a taunt at all.
Yeah.
I don't mind seeing Sylvanas, but it is a lot riskier. But to that same effect,
I feel like Sylvanas is too risky.
There's so few things that matter at this point. Like I don't have a second Corcoran Elite. I don't think I can push through the damage for this because again, Grommash is gone, Ragnaros is gone, Alex Strauss is gone.
I feel like it almost has to be the taunt. I mean, the taunt should prevent the most damage.
I like playing the taunt a lot, but something he has to consider again is how he puts together something that not only matters in terms of pressuring me, but that staves this off the best. So,
yeah, I mean, he could heal armor up. That gives him obviously a lot of life to work with.
Plus, yeah, I kind of like healing.
He does have
the
card lead. Pardon me?
I like healing here a lot.
Yeah, I mean, heal obviously is very nice as well because you can't execute through the heal or anything like that, so it's like not preventable. And I mean, the heal plus the armor up does put him at 21 life, basically, which is pretty hard for you to ever be able to kill off from this situation.
I have no time for
actually, what's the Sylvanas situation? To me, seems like the riskiest kind of all the options.
I definitely think it's risky, but I still really like it because what he's considering when this is happening is he's taking into account how much damage I can actually deal with the remaining cards in my deck, and really all of my damage that I have left is in weapons. So it's really hard for me to push through. Like, even though he's at 3 life, he set this up this way so that way he can play this Druid of the Claw and then sort of
Big
continue
Game
from
Hunter.
there. Wow, Big Game
my
Hunter.
God.
The beast is in his sights. So I wonder what kind of loot he got from that Molten Core drop. And heals incoming up to 8 and 5 across the board. That's a huge swing in terms of what happened here. And
Yeah, I mean, you can obviously, you have double execute, so you can execute the Sylvanas, you could Whirlwind, execute the 5/5 as well. You know, you have the Shield Slam to finish off Big Game Hunter, so you can clear this, but you still have nothing on the board. I mean, now it's kind of open and playing at this point. Now, the question here is, do you save that Shield Slam, or do you take the damage? I feel like you almost have to save it, and I mean, you think it's more valuable, or I guess you need the weapon charges to do the dealing damage, because you said you have no real more threats.
Right, so my thought process in this going into this turn, exactly, even though Trump's hand is fantastic against what my game plan is, my game plan is to deal him these 3 points of damage here, because I'm so deep into my deck at this point, that drawing a second Core Crown Elite can end the game, and then that's pretty much it. All of my big threats are dead. I don't have much going for me left, and then there's that Fiery War Axe, but at this point, I'm pretty sure it's been decided. Like, once he had healed for 5, I remember thinking, like, okay, I'm not going to end up winning this game. Because not only does he heal for 5, but he follows this up with a 4/6 taunt. So just looking at my deck list again, Alex is gone, Ragnaros is gone, Grommash is gone, Baron's gone, the Gorehowl's gone, Black Knight's gone. I have 1 Core Crown Elite left, and then the rest of it's just kind of utility spells.
I'm almost out of
So you do get that Core Crown Elite now, but kind of too little too late. I mean, you can't take that out. Use Fiery War Axe, but I mean, you're basically out of cards. The 5/5 still to deal with. He's at 6 HP, but he can get the card draw from the Wild Growth. Armor up, plus deal 2 damage, plus the 5. So I mean, he has guaranteed 7 damage this turn, 8 with the hero power if he decides to use that, and whatever he draws. I mean. Let's see what he does draw.
And the last card in my deck is
Mark of the Wild.
The last card in my deck is basically irrelevant at this point.
I mean,
have the damage.
The Mark of the Wild is like 100%.
So that's just nail in the coffin, right?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. No way to deal with that. Mark of the Wild, I mean, and no way to get through that with your damage or anything to X. So definitely makes sense. But Trump up 2-0 now, and